Chileans head to the polls to vote in a historic referendum on replacing the Constitution. Venezuela holds a voting drill ahead of December parliamentary polls. And Mexico's Chihuahua state returns to the highest level of restrictions due to a surge in COVID-19 cases. Hello and welcome to TeleSUR English. I am Estefania Bravo from the headquarters of Quito, Ecuador. This is from the south. Today we begin in Chile, where polling stations have opened for a historic referendum on whether to change the country's dictatorship-era constitution. More than 14 million Chileans are eligible to vote on replacing the current charter, with dates back to some 40 years to the rule of General Augusto Pinochet, and is accused of promoting social inequalities. Apart from that, deciding whether to replace the constitution, Chileans will also vote on what kind of body will be in charge of rewriting the new one, either the so-called mixed convention with 50% of members from the Congress and the other half by elected voters, or one 100% elected by popular vote. The referendum is the main result of last year's protest, which began on October 18th and continued until mid-December, as Chileans gathered nationwide to call for reforms to the country's pension, healthcare, and education systems. The president of Chile's electoral service, Patricio Santamaria, has welcomed the historic day and called on all Chileans living in the country or abroad to cast their ballot.
Today, there are 14,766,967 Chileans and foreigners with a Chilean residency of more than 5 years, and also 59,522 Chileans living abroad who can choose what kind of country they want. Everything is ready.
And the president of the Chilean Electoral Service also warned citizens to not forget to comply with the sanitary measures put in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19 while they cast their ballot.
We call on you to vote. We have made an effort to prepare safe places for you to do so, but we also want to ask you to take caution yourself. It is essential that we take care of ourselves. The national health protocol that we had designed will facilitate that. You have to wear a mask when coming to vote. Also keep distance from each other while waiting in line, inside or outside polling stations.
For the latest updates in Chile, let's go now to our correspondent Alejandro Kirk, who is currently on the ground in Santiago. Hi, Alejandro. Can you tell us where you are right now, and have people already started voting, and how does the day look so far?
Cheers, Stefania. Yes, we are at the, in a working class neighborhood, close to the downtown of Santiago. This is a school called Salvador Sanfuentes. Most of the poll stations here opened on time at 8 o'clock in the morning. Some were delayed, but it wasn't anything dramatic. And at the beginning, we were fearing that people would not show up for vote. But as time goes by, it is 10:30 here now. People are arriving and they are voting. And this is an essential part of this process, because let's take a look at what the situation is here. The Papiro, our cameraman, will show us. It's very important, Stefania, that people vote, because the outcome of this process depends pretty much on the turnout. On the one hand, people who are for the approve option expect to win a landslide, which has been the case with the votes elsewhere in the world, in Australia, Sweden, Canada, etc. But if the turnout is low, there will be more maneuvers in order to change the meaning of this. Those in favor of rejection of the new constitution will argue that this is not representative of the people. So it's very important, first, that many people, especially young people, come to vote, and second, that the uh, the approved option wins by a landslide. On the other hand, what's the problem with voting? So far, we don't see many young people. If the young people who have been demonstrating uh, don't vote, it will be because they have there is a lot of mistrust about the coherence of this process. The protest that started here a year ago demanded a constitutional assembly. And what we're getting is a constitutional convention. On the other hand, all this was set up by the parliamentarians, the political system that has a rate of rejection of about 98%. So all this has created mistrust among young people who believe that this will be like the referendum to get rid of Pinochet in 1988, when political forces got an agreement with the military and the political forces of the right in order to um, ignore the, the struggle of the people against the dictatorship, and they actually uh, uh, the neoliberal system was reinforced instead of changed. And all the problems that we have now, as seen by the demonstrators on the streets for the past year, uh, uh, point to that in 30 years, the center left, so-called center left, and the right have reinforced neoliberalism and led us to this deep crisis that we are going through at the moment. So this school, we see that people are getting in more numbers. Probably by noon, this will be full. That's what we hope. But so far, we would say that only some 10% or less have voted so far in this elementary school in Santiago. Stephanie.
So far, so good. Thank you so much, Alejandro. Hopefully, we'll be able to speak to you throughout the day. Thank you. That was Alejandro Kirk in Santiago. Moving on. Following nationwide demonstrations and demands of the Chilean people, today the country celebrates the national 2020 plebiscite, in which citizens will vote for the approval or the rejection of a new constitution. It should entail structural changes in political, social, and economic matters. Let's learn more about this process.
Since 1980, the country has been ruled by the constitution created by Augusto Pinochet's military regime, which has intensified economic, social, and political inequalities. In the 2020 national plebiscite, the Chilean people will decide where they will move toward a process that will generate a new constitution and the mechanism to be drafted. More than 14 million Chileans were called to vote. Citizens will be able to choose between two ballots. The first will have the question, do you want a new constitution? Which can be answered, I approve or reject. And the second, what kind of body should draft the new constitution? Which shall be chosen from a mixed constitutional convention composed of equal parts of popular elected members and members of parliament in office, or a constitutional convention in which only popularly elected members will be accepted. At the end of the election period, the members of the Bureau receiving votes shall count the votes obtained in each of the ballots submitted. As the tables complete their counting process, which will generate preliminary results, the definitive ones will be published on the website of Chile's Electoral Service. In case that the I approve option wins, the constituents will be chosen to write the new constitution and will meet on April 11, 2021. Same day in which the municipal and regional governor elections will be held.
Moving on to Bolivia, the MAS IPSP party and its followers are celebrating its electoral win. On Saturday, citizens of El Alto took to the streets to celebrate the victory of Luis Arce as president-elect, with many cultural events. Other political parties and social movements also joined the celebration. Arce is expected to take office on November the 8th, a year after the coup against President Evo Morales.
This is a celebration of democracy. It's a cultural manifestation of our people because we have recovered our democracy. We are happy. We see hope on people's faces. Our brothers and sisters share their happiness by dancing and showing our culture, the culture of brotherhood and joy. The people have recovered their spirit, their courage. We are confident that we will triumph and overcome any difficulties ahead.
More stories coming up, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. More news now. Venezuela is holding a voting drill on Sunday to get people familiarized with the voting process ahead of the December parliamentary elections. 55 polling stations have been set up for the day to test the operation of an electronic voting system, especially the transmission and counting of votes. The drill will allow electoral technicians to check if the system functions smoothly and to evaluate its efficiency in case it needs any adjustments ahead of December 6th. All necessary sanitary measures have been put in place in all polling stations to prevent the spread of the novel coronavirus.
We have prepared the drill at national level to take place from 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon on Sunday, October 25th. There will be 381 voting centers throughout the country and 945 electoral tables. This will allow voters to have a better understanding of the new technology tools set up at the voting centers. As of today, we report 100% attendance of the electoral personnel at the voting centers, including coordinators, operators, support technicians, integrated system operators, totalization technicians, and members of the voting booths. In total, more than 3,000 men and women have been deployed throughout the country, accompanied by the armed forces.
Venezuelan opposition member Leopoldo López has left the residence of the Spanish ambassador in Caracas. The Foreign Ministry of Spain confirmed he left the residency, and local sources say he has already left Venezuela and is allegedly already in Spain. López had been living at the ambassador's residency since April 2019 after leading a failed coup against President Nicolás Maduro. Last year, López was sentenced to 13 years in prison for inciting violence during 2014 anti-government protests. Mexico's Chihuahua state has reinstated the highest red light level of restrictions following an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths.
Therefore, we are going back to the red light, and we will have to suspend many activities again, as well as limit opening hours and capacity in different activities. The increase in the number of deaths in the state of Chihuahua is the indicator that most concerns us all, because we have set ourselves the fundamental objective of saving lives and ensuring that the capacity of the health sector are not exceeded.
Devils, witches, goblins, and characters from indigenous mythology have paraded the streets of Nicaragua in one of the country's most famous festivals. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't stop Nicaraguans from celebrating the Aguizotes festival in the southern city of Masaya. On this day, thousands of citizens took part in the festivities while being dressed up as terrifying characters and dancing through the streets. The citizens of Masaya are known for preparing their unique masks in family workshops.
It is a tradition in the village of Monimbo, and my father, when he was alive, used to parade in Los Aguizotes and introduce me to the processions of San Jerónimo, Los Aguizotes and Toro Venado, and I have been doing this since I was very young. It's a tradition.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. More news now. In the U.S., New Yorkers took to the polls on Saturday as polling booths opened for early voting in the presidential elections. More than 54 million early votes have been cast so far ahead of the November 3rd presidential election that pits President Donald Trump against Democratic candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden. Early voting and voting by mail have both become much more common than in previous years due to the coronavirus pandemic. The U.S. has hit a daily record of cases with more than 83,000 reported infections. Guinea's President Alpha Conde has been re-elected for a third term. The country's Independent Electoral Commission has released a preliminary result indicating a 59.49 win for Conde. Opposition leader Selou Daling Diallo, who was Conde's main rival, received 33.5% of the vote. However, opposition supporters have complained about irregularities and vowed to challenge the results in the court. But the government insists that the electoral process was fair.
In accordance with Article 41, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution, which stipulates the election of the President of the Republic is achieved through an absolute majority from the votes cast. The candidate having received the highest number of votes is declared the winner. Consequently, the candidate, Professor Alpha Conde of the Rally of the Guinean Peoples, is declared elected in the first round of the presidential election with 59.49%.
And scores of Angolans have taken to the streets to protest against alleged state corruption. About 200 protesters marched against high-level corruption in the capital, Luanda. The rally comes after Portuguese broadcaster TVI-24 accused President João Lourenço's chief of staff, Edultres Costa, of embezzlement. TVI-24 investigated several public contracts awarded to firms owned by Costa, including a multi-million-dollar contract to renovate Angolan airports. The Portuguese broadcaster alleges that Costa transferred public money paid to his businesses to offshore accounts in Panama and Portugal, where it was used to purchase luxury properties. Neither the president nor Costa have commented on the investigation.
We are here and we demand our freedom. Give us our country. One of the duties of the President of the Republic is the fight against corruption. So we demand that he starts with the one with whom he shares his office, with whom he shares the same table. Once again, the people must wake up. Our God does not love idiots. 45 years is too much. We want our country to be restored.
Peace has started to return in Nigeria's main commercial city, Lagos, after days of violent protests. Businesses in Lagos reopened on Saturday, and volunteers took to the streets to clean up after a statewide curfew was relaxed in the aftermath of protests over police violence. At least 51 civilians and 18 security personnel were killed in the unrest. The protests saw the destruction of businesses and vehicles across Lagos, with demonstrators calling for the disbanding of Nigeria's Special Police Force, SARS, which has been accused of human rights abuses.
Massacre, genocide. He didn't say anything about it. He can't tell me he didn't know anything about it, and he kept quiet about it. People died, people lost their loved ones, and he didn't mention anything about it. Our president is incompetent, and I think he should resign.
Several protests in solidarity with Nigerian protesters have been held in different cities across the world. In the United Kingdom, Nigerians living in London rallied against the current situation in their home country. Similar protests took place in Russia, Belgium, and Germany. Protests against Nigeria's SARS unit and police abuse in general erupted on October 8th after a video of an officer allegedly killing a civilian went viral on social media. And Lebanon's Communist Party has marked the 96th anniversary of its founding of the capital, Beirut. The party was founded in 1924 by journalists Youssef Ibrahim Yazbek and Fouad al-Shmeli in the city of Al-Haddad. The party is one of Lebanon's first political forces which fought decades of neoliberal mismanagement under colonial powers.
Our project is to reshape this uprising into a real, true national democratic revolution that will turn Lebanon from this failed sectarian state into a secular, civil, national, and democratic state.
And with that story, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also be sure to follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter at ebravo telesur. For TeleSUR English, I am Estefania Bravo. Until next time.